All right, I'll let some people come in here. Give us a second. All right. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Miami Call-In Show Live. I'm your host, Jaden Gonzalez. Happy Thursday, as always, everyone. Been a great week. I have no complaints. Finals are over. Miami's in the playoffs. It's fun to say that Miami's in the playoffs. I can feel like I can say that over and over again. I think that's just been, next week I'll start settling in on, all right, focusing on Notre Dame and preparing how we can win this game and kind of focusing on that. But this week right now, for me personally, I'm thinking to myself, like, wow, we're in the playoffs. Still doesn't really feel real. I'm buying all the merch right now. It's like just a whirlwind of emotions from Sunday on. We talked a bunch about it on Monday. We're seeing a ton of things that have come out from it, between the Notre Dame stuff, between everything that's gone on within college football. It's been a hell of a week. It's only college football where stuff like this happens on a daily basis. But yeah, I'm hoping everyone else is having a great start to their, a great week so far. We are now, 9 days from kickoff, which feels crazy, feels weird, but I'm excited. I'm gonna hope you guys are too, because again, I haven't been a fan as long as you guys have, and for you guys to finally see your guys in the playoffs, a really good team that's deserving of being in the playoffs for the first, making the playoffs and being in here for the first time in 20 years of like experiencing it all. That's got to feel really, really good. Shout out to how you doing, Demetrius? How we doing? Go Canes as always. Got to beat the Aggies. I'm very, very, very excited for that game. At the moment, I'm planning my trip to go to College Station, doing everything I can to get there and hopefully get credentialed for it all. So I'm excited. They got game day coming there. Yeah, I'm stoked right now. So, hoping more people come in. I'll put in the call-in link when I can. I want to just hear your guys' thoughts about kind of everything that's gone on and whatever in the college football world over the last couple of weeks or whatever. But yeah, hold on 1 second. Just putting some things up. Sorry about that. Alrighty, let's get going. How are you all doing? I'm hoping you guys are feeling good, ready to go. I'll post let me post the link right now. See if we get anyone that wants to join right away. See what they got to say. I want a lot of people to chime in, chat, whatever. We got a lot of things potentially that we could talk about between the Notre Dame stuff, even what happened yesterday with Sharon Moore. And yeah, that's what I'm saying. How we doing, Rob? We're in the playoffs. We're one of the, of the 12 teams. Got A&M next week. Vibes are good. Everything feels really, really good. But yeah. There we go. All right. Yeah. So I mean, look, what else is there to really say right now? Like that's where we are. But in terms of like the Notre Dame stuff, I guess I'll harp back on what we said on Monday if anyone missed it. And I know it's kind of being a dead horse in terms of the entire media cycle. But I would say, just to kind of close everything off, I'll say, actually, before I do that, I want to welcome in someone that doesn't usually show up to the Thursday call-in shows because the semester is over. He will be joining us as our special guest today. It is my partner on the Monday Miami Primetime Live. It is Shay McDonald. How you doing, Shay?
Good to be here. Good to be here. Oh, we have the dumb boxes.
Oh, my apologies.
No, it's not your fault. Good to be here. Good to be here.
How you doing, Shay? You good?
I'm good. I was literally just like grinding out like a bunch of work. And I was like, oh, I still have to, I'm here. Might as well hop on for a little bit.
Oh, that's great. I appreciate that, Shay. Yeah, I was just kind of while we're waiting for more people to come in. I've posted the link already. If anyone else wants to keep, chime in, whatever you guys want to say. But I was kind of just closing up on the Notre Dame stuff that we had mentioned on Monday, just to recap that. As much as, it's very fun seeing Notre Dame crash out and everything that's, gone on this past week. I think Notre Dame has every reason in certain aspects to be upset in the fact that they were kind of misled and led to believe that they deserve to be in the playoffs. And I felt like overall now we're kind of seeing the ramifications of it all, and it's kind of becoming a whole thing with everything going on.
Oh yeah, it's definitely becoming kind of like a whole. I think we're all kind of in agreement of like their anger is kind of misdirected
Yeah.
in terms of being mad at the ACC and mad at Jim Phillips for pushing Miami over them, acting as if they're entitled to the ACC, ACC
Yeah.
support over Miami. And then but at the end of the day, I think we're all kind of in agreement that like the way the committee went about it and kind of the process of leaving Notre Dame so much higher than Miami the entire process up until literally the exact week of the playoff was kind of scummy to do. Because if you really thought Miami was better the entire time and the head-to-head mattered the entire time, what was the point of leaving them flipped during the previous week before conference championship? So flipping them after neither team had played and though other teams had played, none of which were common opponents, kind of did it. I mean, it does feel like, I mean, I don't know if they did for ratings because Notre Dame does draw ratings. I'll give them that credit. I don't think they're as like dominant of a brand as they try and say, but still, like I think the process about how the committee went about it is really just it's a mess. It was a mess.
Yeah, it did seem flawed, and I'm almost like we're seeing kind of rumors or people in the speculating whatever. Do you think there's any merit of people saying that if Virginia had beaten Duke on Saturday, and that would have been the ACC team in, that they wouldn't have switched Notre Dame Miami? Because if people are trying to speculate that kind of thing being like actual thing that came true. Because for over,
I think I think the idea has merit just because of you got to think about who are in these like meetings. They're like the committee is made up of athletic directors from across college sports. So if they're, I gotta double check on who exactly is in that room specifically.
It's a mix of 12 members of, I believe, former college players, ADs, people within the know or the so-called expert college football. So, and I'm sure they'll have their own bias or things towards conferences and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Like if you have relations like in connections with people in the ACC, and you might be, were there any actual ACC representatives that were in here? Is my question. I gotta double check.
I can't confirm that truth, unfortunately.
Yeah. I gotta check who is working here. Okay, well, maybe that's like a bigger question, but like there's people in here who have connections to these different conferences, and so like with Notre Dame, like I think there's definitely a possibility that because of the connections, because of people involved, that they're Duke, we can't let Duke into the playoff. Like there's no reason Duke should make the playoff. So realistically, Miami had to be the team to represent the ACC, and so like I think that played a part. Like I think if Virginia gets there, that does make the conversation harder for Miami, just because you are letting two ACC teams in technically. Yeah, I think it did help Miami out a little bit in terms of their conversations.
I do too. I think maybe it wasn't like the end all be all for it, but I do think it played some sort of role in the fact that it at least it gave Miami's like chances in terms of the optics or the spectics, that it made Miami's chances all that much better. And I think I'm pretty fine about that, but I don't know, when you see it and you keep looking at the way the committee did it all, where we've talked about it, but for over 4 weeks, the fact that they've had Notre Dame over Miami and the fact that it now you switch is a little crazy. But yeah, honestly, is the thing we keep saying. At the end of the day, this all gets kind of sorted out if Notre Dame's in a conference, or if they're not treated differently than everyone else, or they're treated in the same pool. If they were in the ACC, they probably win the ACC, and that's not really an issue. But because of their media deals and their contracts and everything that comes out of it, they're never going to join a conference because of their contract with NBC.
Yeah, exactly. So, it would 100% have helped them. I get it for the money reasons and everything like that. Like, I get it. You get 100% of the media revenue for making the playoff. You don't need to split it up between the conference and everything for every time you make it. So I get the reasons to not be in a conference and the benefits to not being in a conference. But at the same time, you can't ask for favors from other conferences that, specifically ones that, just because you want to continue being this separate entity, but you want to get the full support as if you're in the ACC. You want to be like, well, when the ACC was putting out these graphics to go support Miami, these graphics to support Virginia and Duke, a part of all the process of it all, and particularly the Miami versus Notre Dame comparisons with the head-to-head, like you don't have a right to complain about Miami doing that. The ACC doing that for Miami. When in terms of football, I get it. You schedule a few games with the ACC, so some of those lower level teams can get the revenue, a little bit of boosted revenue from their viewership in those games. But at the same time, like you're not really this. The ACC isn't in depth to you as much as they seem to think they are.
Yeah, one of the things I remember them like that I saw Notre Dame fans saying, I think over the last couple of days, they were like, "Well, things would have been a little bit better if they had like pitted us against Alabama instead of us against Notre Dame, and like they instead of showing the replays of Miami Notre Dame, they replayed Alabama FSU, and it's like, yeah, I get what you're saying. Notre Dame is technically not a part of our conference in terms of the football landscape, so they don't necessarily should have, and they also want to be considered independent in football. So for them to be asking for favors, it to me is a little crazy. Them to say that they've had, or irrevocable damage with the conference is crazy. The way that Pete Bavacqua has kind of been going on all these different shows and talking about it all, it has seemed like they're like almost trying to get people on board with them being screwed over. And honestly, people are not really having it, in my opinion. I don't think that people are kind of sympathizing for them at all. I think we've actually seen quite the opposite.
No, I don't really think anybody does, just because the way you don't play the ball game and everything, how it went down entirely, it just feels like you're whining the entire time. And so like, yeah, did they get screwed over a little bit just because of how it went down? I'm in agreement. But at the end of the day, did the committee, I think the only problem the only team Notre Dame should have a problem with is Bama, realistically. And if you're gonna, because once again, I'm in the agreement. If one team got docked for losing its conference championship in a dominating fashion, both teams probably should have gotten docked for losing their conference championship in a dominating fashion. So both Bama and BYU, if that was the kind of idea that the committee was working off of, or we've already talked about it. Bama was already playing bad football to end the season. You go down and lose in that way to Georgia to finish things out. Did they deserve it? Did BYU also deserve to get knocked out if it meant Bama wasn't going to get knocked out for the way they ended their season? So, like, Notre Dame has a right to be mad off of the logic that the CFP used to keep one team in and then kick another one out. So, and I'm in agreement as that, once again, it happened last second. For the switch to happen as late as it did, it just doesn't make sense. So they have every right to be mad, but they also are acting entitled.
It feels like they're acting very like we said this on Monday. It felt like they were acting like they were above the rest of the college football world. Back in the 1950s, back when in the olden days of college football, I would maybe agree with that. But Notre Dame is no different than any other program. They always are no different than any other program. And the way that they kind of act, and now with the stuff coming out with the MOU, the memory of understanding, about the fact that if this were to happen in the next few years, that they'd be forced to be put in by rule. They're that entitlement and that kind of favor of like Notre Dame being played by a different set of rules is starting to reappear and show up. And that again, that kind of favor towards Notre Dame is leaving as much as possible. Like you're seeing less and less people are just like, yeah, I agree with Notre Dame. No, you're not really seeing that kind of ever at all right now.
No. I think we're all in agreement. It's very clear that they are acting entitled, regardless of their reason. It just is a bad way to end your season, the way they're going about everything here. And the MOU is just kind of the cherry on top of like, well, we're gonna wave this in your face next year in case you guys think about leaving us out. Like at that point, screw it. I'm gonna put them at 14 the end of the season if I'm the committee. You're gonna try and bully me into letting you in. Is ridiculous. So, and yeah, I mean, I saw a little bit on Twitter. I don't know the truth to it really, but like if teams are not gonna
freeze them out.
Teams are gonna eventually, if this is like this thing that they're gonna hold over people and complain and whine about it, like teams are just not gonna want to play you just because of one, if this is how it works, and that another team, it comes down to the line next year that we have a team that beats Notre Dame regardless of where they end up, regardless of when in the season, they end up at a near spot in the final rankings, and it's like, well, Notre Dame finished in the top 12. Other team, you're booted. So it's like, whether it's Miami again, I think who else are they playing next year? Let me check Notre Dame's schedule.
Very light, like Syracuse, UNC, Stanford. They always play Stanford, but like the toughest game is Miami, and I don't know if there's anyone else that's harder. Maybe USC. So
Yeah, maybe USC, but
it's just
yeah,
another
well, yeah,
regular
I mean,
schedule.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it is a not very impressive schedule, people.
Yeah.
They start the season with Wisconsin, Rice, Michigan State, Purdue, North Carolina. That is their opening stretch of games. And then like, look, if it comes down to Miami beating Notre Dame again, and they both ended 10-2, and we are like, oh, which one are they gonna pick again? It will just be insane.
Yeah, I am also just like seeing. Do you believe that in the event that I guess the roles were reversed, that Miami probably would understand the way that it would work? Like, yeah, it's a head. We lost a head to head. We didn't have nearly an impressive schedule that you got. Like we had a very comparable schedule. You guys won the head to head. Therefore, you guys probably should be in over us. Like I get it. Like I think it for us at least it makes a lot more sense than the way that Notre Dame fans have been acting about it. Maybe it's just that we're not totally in their shoes and we can't really feel that. But
maybe,
I don't know. Just objectively looking at it, like, I don't know. I would probably understand the reason why they'd be in it over us.
Yeah, but once again, they're one of the founding fathers of college football. So they're above everybody, and that they need people to recognize that and everybody to bow to their history and their legacy and all that type of stuff. Like we are not in 1955 or whenever. Let me look up Notre Dame college football championships. Like
the Knute Rockne and the head.
Like
we're well past the Knute Rockne.
Like it is a brand. We are way past that. Yeah. And so like when was it's just kind of embarrassing the way they're acting for a team that wants to act like they are so prestigious and that they have all this legacy and culture, and you're gonna act like this the second you don't get your way. Yeah, but
when 88 was the last time they made the national championship, like
one, but yeah, same.
Yeah, this is a really good point. I'm hoping for the next few years and the years future for Miami that things like this aren't an issue.
Yeah.
Like the fact that you even went 10-2 with the loss to Louisville and SMU. Like in the near future, you're going 11-1 and you're winning the games you're supposed to win. And say next year you go 11-1 with your loss being Notre Dame. That's still a playoff team because that team goes undefeated in conference play, and you do what you need to do. One thing I like, you're seeing it now that the next few years of this Miami team, they should be elite every single year because of the way that they've recruited and the way they've been building things. The fact that, their best prospect just won National Gatorade Player of the Year as an offensive lineman. They have a legitimate amount of studs that are coming in year out. The portal has been nice to them. They're probably going to go again in the portal for a quarterback. They're continuing to that talent, the window for a championship or for a playoff berth is always going to be there. And that's now the new standard. And you have to give credit to Mario and Co for that. And like, that's kind of the new way. And even in the current landscape of college football, where right now, like one of the craziest coaching cycles we've ever seen, the fact that with everything that just happened yesterday with Michigan, that the word that could be that Kalen DeBoer could go to Michigan, the fact that there are rumors of coaches that just signed extensions or coaches that just signed contracts potentially leaving to go to Michigan. The whole way that this sport has gone is crazy. And Miami has found a way to kind of carve a hole and find some stability in that has been very impressive in my eyes.
Yeah. I mean, I know everybody, deservedly wants to give Cristobal the flack for his in-game coaching, but just look at how bad it could be in terms of instability if you kind of open up that can of worms by firing him currently. Like, I get it. There are some definite flaws with him in the way he coaches, but I could not imagine having the insecurity of whoever I hire immediately dipping and leaving 5 seconds later. The way it feels like right now, or even like a year out. Like one of the best parts about Cristobal is that he's Miami born and raised, grew up as a, he's got Hurricanes in his blood. And so I don't really think there's anything that could tempt him to leave currently. Maybe, hey, look, money's money. So there is something out there. And yeah, exactly. We aren't FSU.
Yeah.
We aren't stuck with 4 or 5 win seasons being like well, we can't fire the guy
Yeah.
because we don't have the money to fire him. So let's just hope things get better.
One more year. Yeah.
One more year.
Yeah,
Saying,
it's crazy the way that the sport is. And the fact that you have some sort of stability really does kind of ground you at least because, for your Penn State fan and you just watch you guys miss out on 20 different coaches and eventually hire Matt Campbell. It's like, well, what if Matt Campbell doesn't lead us to to 11 win seasons consistently? It's like, I don't know. And actually, Chris, this is a really good point that I want to transition to about having a 16 team playoff. Shay, where do you stand on that?
My thing is that if we get the 16 teams, I still think we should have conference championships. There's just something fun about that and something about like the history and all the kind of. I think if you expand it even further, either the season's going later, which fine if it goes later, but but you don't want it to end up somehow connecting with the Super Bowl in any fact, just because that'd just be awkward. Or we eliminate conference championships, and you lose a lot of history, you lose a lot of the value of that. Also, we're gonna get to 16, and then there's gonna be one or two SEC teams who are like, man, we would have been dangerous if we would have made it. And then we're gonna be like, oh, well, now we got to consider 24.
When we get four loss Missouri saying that they should make the playoff.
Yeah.
But so again, that's the issue. It's like I believe that Texas, Vanderbilt, BYU, they probably could have done something in the playoff if they made it. But I think it's better having bad teams. I think it's better having good teams miss the playoff than it is having bad teams make the playoff.
Yes, and I know people are going to be like, "Well, what about the group of 5 teams?" Well, would you have preferred group of 5 Tulane to have made it, or 7-5 Duke because they are a Power 4 school? Like,
imagine last year's bracket where it would have been 4 seed Tulane, and they would have had 4 seed Tulane, 12 seed JMU. Whoever the 5 seed is has a home game against JMU and then a bowl game against Tulane. What a path that is!
Like it is I think, and yes, Texas does have a right to be a little bit no. Texas has a right to feel like they could have made it, not a right to feel like they should be in there because, look, if they would have gone 10-2 with their only losses being to Ohio State and
Florida
or Georgia.
Florida. Well, if you
I'm saying, yeah, that's what I'm saying. If they had only lost that game to, sorry, I want to double check.
It was Georgia. They lost by 20 plus to Georgia. Yeah.
If it had only been those two,
they probably do.
The rest of the season goes the same. They beat A&M in the final week, and you don't get blown out by Florida. They're in. That's the problem. Texas is not out because they lost by 7 points to Ohio State. They are out because they lost to Florida. That is the reason why they're not in the college football playoff. They lost a game to a very bad Florida team. Texas, I get it. They had a really great win to end the season, and A&M it made the committee probably think about it. Once again, they lost by 7 to Ohio State.
Yeah,
gave them a hard time. It was a very close game down to the wire. And then Georgia smacks them, but Georgia did that to a lot of teams. So even Bama in the conference championship. So I get it, but they are not out because they lost that game to Ohio State or that they got blown out by Georgia. They are out of the playoff because of that game to Florida where they just kind of threw it all away. So that is my take on the Texas thing. Vanderbilt, I don't really get, but Vandy, I think Texas is more of a case than Vandy because at least Texas has
Texas.
I don't
but I think that personally, I think an 8 would have been probably the perfect amount. Truthfully, I think 12 is a weird number. But 12 does also mean it will probably go to 16. But in general, I just see the idea of look at last year's top 12, and it felt like there weren't enough teams deserving of the playoff last year. And this year there were too many teams deserving of the playoff. So it's if you have what happens last year to next year, you're going to have some really bad teams in the playoffs. And if it's in a 16-team format and the eventual path to a 24-team playoff, because they're going to continue to expand this over and over again until, I don't know. At this point, it feels like expansion's only going to continue until they think that they have the sweet spot. And I don't think they'll ever have the sweet spot. I can't tell you exactly what the number is. Obviously, look, I would like watching Vanderbilt play. They were a very fun
Yes.
story. It was a great
Yeah.
story. Texas was a great story. Well, not really.
Not really.
Vanderbilt
Texas-
was a great story. Texas was a good they rallied towards the end of the year. After Georgia, I thought they rallied. I thought they played better ball than before the year. Does not mean they probably deserved it. But I think overall it's like I'd rather have teams that are on the outside looking in being like, we probably deserve to make it, sure, but in a year where like last year where you had SMU versus 9-3 Bama, it's like this is a dumb debate. Both teams are not very good. Like I prefer having years where there's an overflow of really good teams than like there's no good teams, and I'm watching 16 seed Missouri come out and play against a gauntlet 1 seeds. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, exactly. Like you don't want to get to the point where the very bottom, and once again, yes, will the group of 5 schools probably get killed? Probably. But that's just because I think this is just a unique year where the conference champ we had 3 very strong conference championship winners, and then the chaos of the ACC kind of just screwed everything up. So that I think is I don't think people would have been as mad if it was literally just one of these group of 5 teams, but the fact that it's 2, people are mad.
Yeah.
But I think it's good to reward winning your conference, and even if that does mean a group of 5 school makes it and they have a very little chance, so what? Like I get it. And yeah, like I'd rather have good teams missing it than bad teams making it in terms of like those not group of 5, those at large bids. Like those at large bids, and like I don't want to get into the
No, look, absolutely not. True,
no.
absolutely not. It's just the way, but that's the way the system is. The system is just the way the system has planned it. Is that the conference champions at the end of the day matter more than the at-large spots. But with the way that certain teams and conferences have more favor than others, the G5 has a very low chance of getting in. It's hard, in my opinion, to neglect an entire half of college football for them to make I think 1 spot was fine, and everyone is expecting it to just be 1 spot at all times. But because of everything that just happened with the ACC, that didn't happen, right? In a perfect world for the committee, Miami wins the ACC and Notre Dame is that final spot. And now there's no concerns, like no one being like, oh, we should have been in, we shouldn't have been in. I think it's just a unique year. But yeah, the issue with the G5 in my eyes is like, I prefer to see, I don't want to see no G5s for the rest of the time. I think the G5 in some way deserves to make it in some regard.
Yeah, I'm in agreement too. Like you can't just ignore a large chunk of what college football is just because we have certain teams that are going to be mad and they're in the SEC because they're not going to make it. I get it. It is a tough thing to see, especially when you're like, oh, I'm like a million times better than this team. And maybe eventually they can switch it to a point where like maybe you set a certain point where you have to be ranked in order to make it, or we go to the highest ranked team in your conference rather than like the actual which I don't know. I wouldn't do that either, but they switched it to like being the highest ranked team rather than the conference championship winner. That way you get 5 representatives, and then the conference championship winners, if they're ranked high enough, can also make it. I don't really know. That I've heard that tossed around, but it doesn't make too much sense to me. But yeah. I think this is just an anomaly of a year where we could have had 2 group of 5. We're not gonna have 2 group of 5 teams most years.
Yeah, I agree. I'm putting hold on, sorry about that. Let me put the StreamYard link back in the chat. Again, if anyone wants to call in for me and Shay, click on the link, put it in the chat, come in, hear what you guys got to say. We're cool. Anything you guys want to say, we're very, very, very excited for. But,
I don't know if you've talked about that yet, but what Dennis Taylor just put in the chat, I think is
I did not.
Both of A&M's coordinators going like as the season ends. What
really?
Yeah, I believe. I mean, I know they're DC. You just said, but I just want to double check. I think I saw that their offense coordinator is also on the way out. Yeah, but that could be something.
Mm-hmm. I did also see that what's his name has been applying to jobs. Shannon Dawson.
Yes. I think he was up for the Tulane job.
Tulane?
Yeah, he's up for the Tulane job before they hired somebody.
I believe I also saw Coastal Carolina too. That was the other one. And Coastal Carolina
Yes.
just hired Missouri State's coach Brian Beard.
Mm-hmm. And also, by the way, Rob Dukes just put the other one. Kansas State took their offense coordinator. Yes.
Oh, good.
So
okay.
A&M's, but I think they already have guys picked out, but I think they'll still probably be there. I'm trying to see if they will be there for the playoff run. Currently. Oh no! So apparently, at least Lyle Hemphill, currently the associate head coach for the defense, is going to take over the defense coordinator position for the Aggies.
He's leaving right away.
He's leaving right away.
Wow.
Which quite a shift to go straight into the playoffs with.
Yeah. Because
And
I also saw rumors of the idea that Jay Bateman to Kentucky.
Oh, no, Jay Bateman to Kentucky. Sorry, their offense coordinator to Kansas State.
I'm kind of intrigued by the Bateman one because is that that's not really a lateral. It's kind of a lateral move, right? He's not really going.
It is kind of a lateral move, but it's under their new head coach.
Okay, they must have some relation with him that's better than Mike Elko.
Yeah, and definitely that should help us when you think about it. Just thinking about making those adjustments in leadership week of. Should definitely be something to kind of look at, and I mean whether it's the actual play calling, the scheming, the just messaging of what's going on, you're gonna have a lot of changes that exact week. So it will be interesting to see how that necessarily changes. Anything that A&M does against Miami, if that means they're gonna run a more simplified game plan, if their whole meetings got messed up and everything, like I don't fully know, but I feel like just because they had people named immediately that there were discussions that this was going to be happening. Yeah. So I'm like 50-50 if they're going to be actually ready for it or not. But and also does help that Bane will be playing with a chip on his shoulder this game. Bad intentions. And it'll be interesting to see what they do. But just from reading a little bit about it, it does seem like they had an idea that these moves were coming. So they might have kind of been making those transitions and leadership and everything like that as, prior. So,
and also rumors with the Mike Elko, not really like an actual rumor, but Elko potentially going to getting interviewed at Michigan or anything, like just having his name being thrown a couple times into the media circles. There's a lot of things, at least, maybe rat poison, you could say, that's inside Texas A&M that can give Miami an edge. Mm-hmm. Just things to keep in mind. Look, it's going to be a tough one just in the fact that they have, that crowd is nuts. It's a very good atmosphere going into that kind of area. I'm going, like, I don't know necessarily like where that will be, like how that atmosphere will kind of change everything. So I'm intrigued by that kind of aspect.
Yeah. Great question here. Marcel Reed or Carson Beck?
Probably Marcel Reed.
Probably. I'm in agreement. I love what Carson's done in terms of when he's on point, but I think Reed's kind of like X factor of just being able to. I always go with the mobile QB over the pocket passer usually, unless it like completely outweighs it. But when they're kind of like, I gotta go with Reed and his ability to kind of like elude defenders, escape, all that type of stuff, and still make all the throws that you need to.
I think
I'd probably still go with Reed.
Reed has looked good in certain games. I think the way that I've seen at least Beck play recently he's been better the last 4 weeks.
Yes.
But overall, Marcel Reed can be very, very, very explosive.
Yeah.
But like his last 5 games, he's thrown 6 interceptions, which is something to watch. Texas, he had 0 touchdowns, 2 picks. South Carolina, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. Mizzou, 2 touchdowns, no picks. LSU, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. His rushing is depending on the team he's playing. Against Texas, he ran the ball 12 times. Against LSU, 13 times. So he's definitely a big mobile guy, obviously. It's a guy that you have to limit limit, and you have to control the pocket so that he can't really move around, make him throw the ball. And with he's thrown 10 picks this year. He's inexperienced overall as a quarterback. You're hoping that he can kind of be that
Yes,
guy.
and Rob Dukes did have the good point, point out the big thing. Beck does have more big game experience in these big games, but I did check Carson Beck's like road record against these road like games against these big teams, and it's not the most impressive. I will say that.
Really saying put a spy on him, have some QB contain in ways that you can force Marcel Reed to be a pocket passer. And if you take away one thing that he's done his entire year, it can really be a big benefit. I mean, you look at all the other scramble guys that Miami's played this year, and they've done a pretty good job overall, I'd say. Byron Brown, they did really well. Tommy Castellanos, they did pretty well. I'm trying to think of some other QB mobile, like specific Kyron Drones. They did really well again.
Yeah,
so
Miami's done pretty well against these mobile QBs. I think really, I mean, like Tommy Castellanos got him a little bit at the end of the Florida State game. Kevin Jennings got him a little bit during that one, but they didn't score too many points. Like, I mean, they still only scored 20 in regulation, so it was one of those things like he got his yards and everything, but Miami was doing a pretty good job bending, not breaking.
Yeah, and then with something that Chris said earlier, that Miami's path at least is probably one of the tougher ones you're probably going to get out of any of the teams. The fact that you have to go through the potential, if you go through all the high seeds, it would be first A&M, probably the toughest of all the beginning games. So you got A&M, then it's Ohio State, and then after that it would probably be would that be Indiana, right? And then it'd be the
we just check the bracket.
I'm pretty sure it's that kind of side.
Yeah, it's not great for Miami.
It's a very rough. Or sorry, Georgia.
No. So if you beat A&M, you play Ohio State. If you beat Ohio State, you probably play Georgia.
And then it'd be IU and the Natty. But in the event that you're playing all the high seeds, that's a tough pass. That's a very, very, very tough pass. I don't know how you kind of it's just very tough. But for Miami itself, when Miami is on and when they're hot and when they're good, especially against really good teams, they're one of the best teams in all of college football. So I have no reason to not believe that. So I think that they legitimately, when healthy, when playing at their very toughest, they can be a legitimate team. But they have to be on. They have to be on right away. Has to be on.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it's been a lot of up and down from Miami this year, and so they've ended it on a hot streak. They've ended it with good on a good stretch of games, but at the same time was the best team in the AC until they played Miami.
Record-wise, yeah.
Record-wise, I guess they were, especially since you beat Georgia Tech, so they were probably there. And then till they played Miami. Miami has done a really good job at beating down solid teams. We played a few solid teams this year, and we made them look a lot worse than us. But at the same time, you played a couple of them, Louisville, SMU, and they held on. They played gritty, and it came down to Miami. I wonder if how Miami looks in another tight game is what I want to see.
Close, because what was the last really, really, really close game they had?
Well, the last really close game was SMU. And then the penalties, they got tight. They had it all. 4th and 9, didn't hear the whistle. So I want to see if it gets tight. That's where I'm a little bit worried. But I definitely think Miami can just go out and beat teams down. Just the way they're just out physicaling people, getting to people with the quarterback. Running on them, which to Rob Duke's point, the defense has been pretty susceptible to the run. I mean, 127 rush yards allowed per game, four per carry on the ground, which in college football does include those does include QB sacks into that, and A&M has a decent amount of them. So I think it will be interesting to see can Miami fully exploit the run game. Can they kind of get that run game going? It's been on and off this year. Even at the end of the season, it had some peaks, had some valleys. Even like the final couple games, I'm trying to think. Pitt, it wasn't too impressive the run game against Pitt, if I'm not mistaken. I think we were able to kind of pass all over them.
Yeah, I do think having a healthy Mark Fletcher, like a fully healthy Mark Fletcher.
Yes, fully healthy Mark Fletcher, because Gerard Pringle's been great, but it's
Yep.
really just like where else is it coming from? If Pringle can't take Pringle, I don't think is a 20-25 carry type of guy. You kind of need to blend it in. So if Miami can get Fletcher going again, Marty mixing him in potentially, maybe more his goal line, short yardage stuff, but you get what I mean. And then if you get anything out of Lyle at this point, it'd be awesome. But I don't think at this point, I think you're gonna kind of just stick with the guys who work. But yeah, like I said, that rushing defense, 218 against Texas, not great. Even 203 against UTSA to start the year. 268 against Arkansas in that 45-42 game. They've been run on a few times this year where you're like, ooh, that is not good. That is not pretty.
And then even their last, like, against real teams, they gave up 42 against Arkansas, 25 LSU, 17 Mizzou, 30 South Carolina in a game they were down 30-3, and then 7 to Texas. So they, again, I feel personally they've kind of limped into the playoffs. Personally, I understand that the Arkansas, LSU, Mizzou stretch were all on the road, but they haven't looked since. I wouldn't know. They just haven't looked like the third best team in college. And like when they were ranked at third at one point this year, they never really looked to me like the premier team in college football. I think they have dogs around them. They have a really good team between Marcel Reed. Casey Concepcion is awesome. He was great against NC State, and he's great in college, a great player overall. Their offense is great. They average about 200 rushing yards a game, average 36 points a game. They can throw the ball. If Miami's defense does a good job, you need that offense to then kind of carry it, do their weight. I love the fact that we have guys coming back. That's going to be a massive help. The fact that you have potentially David Blay, OJ Frederick, maybe Keontae Scott later on, but maybe not for next week.
I don't think for next week.
You're going to have a fully healthy CJ Daniels. You're going to have a lot of guys that are fully ready and back for this team. And I'm very excited to see what they look like.
And an extra week of rest, you didn't play in the conference championship, so you got that week of rest right there going into this weekend. You got time, and you got health. You're hopefully healthy by the time this game comes around. Aside for Keontae Scott, obviously, I think that's kind of the one that's like probably not this game, probably more of an Ohio State thing. But the way guys in the secondary have flown around all year, regardless of who's in and who's out, I'm very confident in them to do enough. I think Marcel Reed in that offense is going to be tough to stop, especially when you look at what they have. But I think Miami has the pieces between the secondary and the pass rush to kind of blend that together and slow them down.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna post streamer link again. Again, we want me and Shay are here because I don't know, having Shay is a much bigger help than me talking to a screen for about an hour and a half. So having Shay here, big help with facilitating conversation, but also we want you guys to talk, whatever you guys have to say, comments, whatever. I'm great with the comments, but I want you guys to call in and I want to hear you guys got to say, because, you guys have been fans longer than us. You guys have seen a lot more things than we have. So whatever you guys got to say, I want to hear it, because we talk on Monday. It's almost like a repeat of our Monday show right now.
Yeah. A little bit.
Yeah.
But Rob Duke's got another thing. Like they can go and blanket Tony all they want. I'm very confident in the rest of this receiving room that we've seen, because the way Miami's gone about this year is, we didn't see it earlier on, but we've kind of seen the last few weeks, is rotating everybody in. Everybody's gotten plays. Everybody's gotten a chance to be a part of this offense. You go down the list. Not only obviously Tony's the big one, but CJ Daniels when he came on strong this year, now healthy again. Keelan Marion in the middle of the year was huge for Miami, especially when they were dealing with the CJ Daniels injury. Then all the young guys, Dalen Upshaw, Josh Moore, JoJo, even JoJo in spurts here and there. We were wondering where he was, but he's been, when he's been involved, he's been effective at points. Just kind of all these young guys and all these different pieces who've been involved. And Falconer, I definitely think CJ needs to be the guy. You're going to want to step up if they're going to go try and blanket Tony and double cover and try and put double coverage on him. follow him around regardless of, whatever if they're going to be like, we're not letting him do his thing, at least in the passing game and receiving game specifically, not could throw some passes. Then CJ Daniels definitely is the guy across from Tony on the outside, needs to be the guy to step up. He's been so consistent. And, whether it's him, whether it's the tight ends, whether it's the young receivers, kind of getting this receiving room involved in a variety of ways. But once again, A&M, you can definitely run on them as we've seen a few times this season. So if that happens, if that could be the way if Miami can get this run game going for this game.
Yeah, I like the idea of maybe like if you focus on running the ball between Pringle and Fletcher, pound the run, establish it, sets up a lot of play fake, and a lot of the play fake can lead to some boots that can go to Bowman, can go to Lofton. They've incorporated them significantly more in the last couple of weeks. Bowman had 3 catches for 58 yards against Pitt. Against Virginia Tech, I think they were pretty damn good. They had design plays right away for Lofton, who had 2 catches for 2 yards and a touchdown. Like, they're getting these guys more reps, more minutes, like more action right away. I think they can be an integral part, especially if the run game gets going right away. You set up a lot of play action plays that can go right to Bowman and right to Lofton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, once again, we were kind of one of those things where we were wondering all year, where has that been? And then these last few weeks, not like it's crazy involved, but not like they're force feeding them or anything. But, but like I think they've been starting to get them involved, and it definitely helps because Lofton is one of those guys who we thought going into the year, move him around, put him in the backfield, have him get some handoffs, has him get some short like dump offs, and let him go and run. And even we didn't see it for large stretches of the season in the middle, but he's been effective, and him and Bowman these last few weeks have been effective when given the opportunity. But as always, Bane of the D line as we thank Falconer for the 305.
They're gonna have to ball out. I think they will. I mean, I love the way that, I don't know, just having a fully rested Bane going against these kind of guys, big time moment, big time game. And when I think of Bane's 2 biggest games this year, they were both in big time spots against UF and against Notre Dame. 2 incredible plays from him. I thought he was great in both those games. He's going to step up. I know he's going to step up. Mezirow has been great. Those guys are going to ball out, and I feel really confident in that. In terms of the tight end stuff, I really was thinking that back in like beginning of the season, back in August specifically, I was like, the tight ends are going to be a really big role considering how it was last year when it was so much Elijah Arroyo. Thought it was like Elijah Lofton's the next guy up, and he's more of a gadget guy that can do a lot more things. And they just really didn't go to him. I know the thing is with what happened with the Louisville game on the Beck 4th pick, but like I still believe in them. I still think they can be like a underutilized weapon that can be a big factor. And if all goes, doesn't work, you have Malachi Tony that's going to give you 25 if need
wherever you want to put him. And like
Malachi Tony might get every rep at one point in the game. Like he might get every single snap. They might put him direct snap. They might run him. They might pass him. He had 13 catches against Pitt. He ran the ball a ton. He threw the ball a ton. They're going to do a lot of that. I firmly believe they're going to do as much of that as possible.
He's going to be the punt returner, like Rob Dukes pointed out. Like he's gonna be everywhere. He's going to be everywhere, getting touches, and he's gonna be huge regardless. Will Tony throw a TD in this game?
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes because the way that they've been doing so many goal, and especially in the red zone, they've done so many trick plays. I remember the Pitt game specifically. It felt like every single drive in the red zone, they did one Malachi Tony play. It feels like they're going to continue to do it, and it works. It works.
Yeah, even the one that was incomplete, Tony literally just full on. He was in shotgun, drop back, full on step, and fired it over to I think Josh Moore, and it was in the bucket. Just good play by the DB in that one. So I think we could see it again. I think we have seen it a bunch. And even if it is just, if it is just like a straight drop back and throw, I don't think the defense is really expecting that at this point to happen
in a playoff game.
In a playoff game,
yeah.
So
it's definitely something that can throw them off kilter right away. One thing that you can notice from A&M is they're very good on scripted drives, and if most teams are, once you're good on scripted drives, broken play, when you get into that later part of the game, that's going to be a really big test for both sides. Miami's looked really good in the non-scripted, aspects of the game. There are a lot of different, especially in the last 4 weeks, they've just looked like a machine on offense. And if that continues and that continues to roll, like, especially they did it against the big teams and they did it the last 4 weeks. Again, other than that Louisville SMU stretch of games, they've been a complete football team, but they have to be on. That offense has to just, from the get-go, Beck has to look the way he's looked the last 4 weeks. If that starts to go well, I have no reason to believe Miami can't win this game. Like, they win this game outright, right away.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't think I think there's no way you can think, oh, Miami's so overmatched in this game, they have no chance. Like, I think Miami has more than a chance. Like, honestly, Miami is very much in play to go and win this one. I know there's been ups and downs of this season, but the way this team was playing to end the season, the way we know the talent on this team is able to play, I think it's a good matchup against a team like A&M, against a team that likes to throw the ball a lot. Against a team that's been bad against the run. And like we said, Mario plays a better competition. He's not going to win. He's not going to win a random game in the middle of November, but he will win he will win some of these big games where Miami is an underdog, a 50-50 toss up, regardless what you want, regardless what you think. Like, he can step. He and his teams can step up to the challenge.
When that talent is neck and neck, or they're even, you could call them better than our talent, Miami plays to a much higher level than other coaches, or other years, other teams in general. That to me is a big positive, and that to me is where, I don't know, that is easy and a much bigger edge for Miami. I think they have a lot of things that can easily be a better factor for them. I mean, from our standpoint, for us watching all these games, we're watching the team, and especially in the last 4 weeks, saying this team could easily make a run. Obviously, in my opinion, they have one of the toughest schedules or stretches you could probably do between A&M, Georgia, potentially. Ridiculous stretch of 3 games, but I do believe that this team can at least make some noise and show at least that they're completely deserving of making the playoff. I think that's a positive. I think winning a game probably should be the goal, because Ohio State is, to me, a machine. Georgia's really damn good. So my expectations on those games are a little less than A&M. A&M's a game I think you got to win. You got to go out there and win that game.
100%. I think it needs to be kind of the, not exclamation point, because you love to go on a stretch. And the fair point, we've been in playoff mode all month, so every game has been a playoff game. Every game the season has been on the line for Miami, and they haven't faltered down the stretch of the season. So they've been locked in. They've continued to play locked in down the stretch, and you like to think that would help you come playoff time when you're against a team that you're going into rough, hostile territory. Your last 2 games have been on the road, so you've been in hostile territory. Virginia Tech wasn't a good team, but that stadium was packed like it. Like you've been in hostile environments this year to end the season, being in playoff mode, and it hasn't been too much, and you haven't gotten tight down in these last 4 games. So you'd like to think that helps you going into this one.
Yeah, normal Miami teams in the last couple of years have faltered in that November-December range. We thought they were going to do the same. They come out, they look really good on the road to end the year between Virginia Tech and Pitt. 2 very tough games up in the cold, and they play damn good football. That to me is, like, right away, I'm like, this team is different. This team legitimately has something in them that can be different. And the way that they are just talent-wise, when you look at the team, between how awesome that run game can be, if at its highest, the O-line is one of the best in the league. The defensive line is one of the best in the league. I think no matter who we play, it will probably be better than anyone else that we play, no matter what. So that's already an edge that you have in the trenches. You have the best true freshmen in the country. You have 2 of the best defensive players in the country. This team is legit. This team has look, it's our own bias, but we've seen them. This team has their own bias. Like, they have that. They have that kind of championship DNA, you could call it, in them, that they could at least make a run, and they've shown it already this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything to believe this team can't make a run as it currently is built. We've seen the talent between the defense, between the offense, just think about the coaching staff, Heatherman, the improvement that Shannon Dawson has made this last month to kind of expand the playbook.
Yeah.
Be like, well, There's screw it, throw everything out there, teams. I think it's been very impressive from every single point of this team, and there's no reason. It feels like everything is clicking at the right moment for Miami. Now we'll see if that happens with a jump in competition going over to A&M. But once again, you've been in hostile environments pretty much down the stretch of the season, playing playoff games against teams that would love to make sure you're kicked out of the playoff, and they've stood the test. So I think they can definitely do it again, and I think I'm out. And yeah, once Rob Dukes has it, I'm not scared of any team. Not even scared. I'm not scared of any team aside for Ohio State, and scared might be a stretch, but you know what I mean. Like, no team is like, I have the fear of everything, and I think we're going to be massive underdogs in those games. Like, every team has shown weaknesses. Every team has had their faults, and I think we'll see where it goes for Miami. But there's definitely got to be a belief that if you could beat A&M, you can go beat any one of these teams, and maybe Ohio State might be the limit, but we won't know until you get to that second round and we see where it goes from there. But I think establish what you can do this week, and Miami has a chance to kind of go for it all.
Yeah, I feel really confident in the way that the team is right now. I feel confident in the way that they look and everything that kind of comes off of it all. I'm just excited to get to that game on Saturday. Like, that to me is like, just get me to Saturday right now. Kind of like, that's how I'm getting it. I started this week just saying I feel really good. The fact that we're even in the playoff is awesome. Now it's like we're starting to focus into, all right, how can we beat A&M? How can we get into it all? And like, let's do that. We'll definitely talk about that a lot on Monday for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, we can wrap it up about, I guess we can talk about everything that happened yesterday with Sherrone Moore.
That was a little wild.
We obviously, I'm not going to speculate anything. It's an awful situation on all sides. But the only question I guess I would have is, like, because the rumors are that Michigan has known about it for quite a while, that it's been something rumored, no real evidence or anything about it. If in the event that they actually knew it happened before Ohio State, do you wonder if they would have fired him if they had beaten Ohio State?
I think the second one of those a thing like this gets out, that's when it kind of, like, regardless, I think it would have they would have been reactionary to the point where this would have kind of continued to spiral. So I don't think it was really necessarily a win or lose to Ohio State. I think it was literally just of a when does this kind of fully get out there. And so the second that happened, the second everything else goes down. Now, if this would have been hush hush the entire time and would have never gotten out, probably dude still has his job. But just knowing if Michigan knew about it and kept it on the rug and was just like, well, this happened on the side, we're just not going to talk about it at all.
Did it after National Signing Day too? I don't know. Maybe it was just the timing of it was different, but obviously I don't want to speculate anything because the arrest stuff is on its own wild thing that you hope all parties involved, everything's okay. So I hope on that, and it's like, see, that's my thing. Like, the way that Michigan's kind of been branded for the last few years, that's kind of like my thing with it. Like, with Connor Stallions and Connor Weiss, like, this isn't a one-time thing, I guess, like between the A&M, like the Michigan guys. So I don't want to say anything that is obviously going to get us in trouble for it. But I think just from what we see out there, the fact that he was fired with cause, it's a little strange it happening now. I would hope that Michigan has known about it, because the rumors are that Michigan's known about it and they've kind of been contacting teams about the potential for a head coach. It feels weird that now they have to do it and the portal opens up very soon and everything's kind of starting right now for them. It's a really weird spot to be in.
Yeah, it is a very weird spot to be in that I don't think any team would ever want to be in. Mm-hmm. But, like, I don't know. It's just something about it is just like, the second one thing gets out there, everything gets out. And I think it was more just react. I think they probably know about it. I can't say, but yeah, if they did, I can't say 100%, but if they did and they had it, I don't know how much winning or losing to Ohio State mattered in that decision.
Okay.
I think it was more like if they could have swept it under the rug and nobody talk about it ever again, they would have. I think it got out there, and then
Once
like
it got out there,
once it got out there, tough to kind of keep that under wraps.
Yeah, for Michigan stands, I don't even know where from a Michigan stance where you go from here right now, considering every role just got filled up, and now you're like now you have to fill a role for a coaching job.
Yeah, unless they are willing to pay an absolute bag to buy a team out of their new hiring.
The only one that I can see because it doesn't feel like Alabama and
oh yeah, well Bama fans don't really like DeBoer as it is, so.
And it feels like Alabama's okay with letting DeBoer go.
Yeah,
and Michigan seems like a good spot for him.
Yeah, but also if you're DeBoer, I mean, if you're Bama, what would you do if you're just like, oh well, I guess Kalen DeBoer can go walk. I think it's more of like it'd be more of like a DeBoer decision to be like, well, they really don't like me here. Let me just up and leave.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I wonder like Bama's Bama. So I wonder if Bama could just go, hey, Dan Lanning, hey, Clark Lee, hey, Sark, could I feel like Bama's got the power where they
Lane Kiffin.
Exactly. Like the Lane one, as much of it's a joke, there is a world where Lane would do it.
There's a world. I saw the secret base video on Lane. I didn't realize how much of like you jump ship. I didn't realize because I saw the jokes about it, and I was like,
Tennessee one.
Yeah,
that's the worst of them all.
Yeah, it was. That one was. That was rough.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, I would not. That one. I know we're joking about it. There's not a 0% chance that would happen if that
knowing what Lane's history.
Yeah,
there's a 0% chance it could happen. And
yeah,
that's a crazy thought in mind if you're an LSU fan. Or even like ESPN said this morning, hey, check out Matt Campbell's contract, see what it's looking like. Check out Sataki's contract. Crazy. The fact that these guys just signed either contract extensions, just signed new to places, and the fact that they might also like they could leave that and get rid of it all just to go somewhere, go to Michigan or Bama.
Yeah. This is why that's why I can't see people complaining about players and their movement is just because like coaches is 10 times worse.
Absolutely. The fact that that people complain about the way that players act in their own right over coaches who are getting paid like 60 times that and are doing ridiculous things to get to that kind of position in the way that the whole Lane thing was a disaster. The whole every kind of coach in college football has been a total disaster in the way that they are. So why are put blame on players when they want to get paid, and you're looking at coaches when Lane Kiffin's getting paid $1 gazillion to just coach LSU.
Yeah,
two different things. We're comparing way too many things.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. I guess that's it for the Miami Call-In Show. I thank you, Shay. I genuinely appreciate coming on for today because I wish other people would have called him. No worries.
That's the last point before we go. Marcus Freeman. Do you think he
leaves? New York Giants.
Al Gold. I mean, Al Gold. What is Al Gold is a Cincinnati DC right now, right?
Yeah, he would absolutely leave to go to Notre Dame.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I mean, yeah, probably.
If I genuinely could see Freeman go to the Giants, but the Giants buyout for him is like $50 million plus. You got to pay him contract.
Yeah, that's not.
I don't know, but again, appreciate it, Shay. Obviously, I wish we had more callers, but thank you for everyone who tuned in. We will be back on Monday for the live show, prepping and previewing A&M. Go Canes as always. I appreciate you guys for coming in, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
See ya. Peace.